And I would now like to call upon Ajit, who is going to moderate this session along with Rituraj. And over to you both.
Yeah, thank you, Nupur, and welcome all to this 12 p.m. session today. Today we bring a very interesting topic, as Nupur said, measure what matters with the OKR and EBM. And this reminds me of some of the ongoing discussions and debates around output versus outcome, right? Sometimes we are so entangled in agile processes, practices, setup that we lose our focus on the value that we deliver to the customer, right? What makes the customer happy? What makes the team happy? What are those things which drives the innovations? And the presence of these frameworks like OKR and EBM bring that perspective back to our delivery. While OKR is towards the ambition and the future state where we want to be, the teams works on the ground, more focused toward the sprint goal. And that's where the EBM joins the hand with OKR to make an interesting proposition and bring all the necessary alignment. So without losing much time here, I would hand it over to our speaker today, who would introduce himself and make the presentation here. Over to you, Rituraj.
Thank you so much, Ajit. I hope I'm loud and clear
Yeah, definitely you are.
and my slides are also visible to all of you.
Yeah,
Good. So, yeah, thank you so much once again, Ajit, for that wonderful introduction. And yeah, I have started my time check at my side. And then, yeah, let's get started with the today's knowledge sharing session. The topic is measure what matters with OKRs and EBM. When I talk about OKRs, it is objectives and key results, and EBM, that is nothing but evidence based management. These are the two primary frameworks which are being used by many agile practitioners in many agile organizations since many years. And EBM, its formalized introduction has been done by scrum.org few years back, but OKRs are there since many years, and then many of us have at least heard these terms. So that brought my attention to present something on this particular topic today. And before I begin, I would like to give a big thanks to Agile Network India for providing me this wonderful opportunity to be here and to do some knowledge sharing for all of you. Special thanks to all the reviewers from Agile Network India. By their help and valuable inputs, I could make it more insightful, simple, straightforward. Okay, so about me, I have around 11 years of experience in IT to develop and deliver agile products and services using mainly Industry 4.0 specific initiatives, tools, technologies, and a few other things associated to all of that. I'm currently working as a senior analyst, Scrum Master slash Agile coach with Tetra Pak, which is one of the leading manufacturing, packaging, processing domain-based organizations in world. It is a Swedish organization. I have previously worked with Cognizant, ADP, and Atos. Recently, have published my first book in the agility mindset kind of approach. The name of the book is Mastering Advanced Scrum. If you would like to get to know more about me, please feel free to visit my LinkedIn profile and get in touch with me so that we can do further knowledge sharing. Outline of today's session: what we are going to learn, see, observe, watch today. A brief history of how we are measuring things so far, why we should measure what matters, overview of OKRs, objectives and key results, how OKRs can complement organizational agility in a whole. I will be also giving you some examples through a practical case study for OKRs implementation in one of my previous organizations, and correlating OKRs with evidence-based management, how these two outcome-based measurement-based frameworks complement each other, how they can correlate to each other. Okay, so let's start. The first thing which I would like to share with you is nothing but where it all got started and how we are heading towards. So in 1967, management by objectives theory what was proposed by Peter Drucker, and then everyone was up to those management based objectives. And when I say measuring things, I was quoting to the overall productivity, efficiency, effectiveness, built-in quality, maybe reliability, maintainability, scalability, desirability, viability, capability, availability, all those things, all those factors using which you can measure where you are currently and where you would like to be in terms of your future progression based analogy. So from MBOs, then in 1981, smart objectives was the concept which was introduced by George Doran. And what is the meaning of smart? The organizations, their programs, portfolios, the teams which are supposed to deliver the vision, mission, strategy, objectives of that organizations, they should have some objectives, goals to be defined based upon which they can do some measurements to see how they are performing. And those objectives always need to be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. Then in mid 90s, we came up with KPIs where we wanted to measure our performance based upon some indicators which will help us to measure our key performance. Then in 1990s, we came to know about a concept of EBM. So evidence-based management concept was getting introduced in the domain of life science first. There is a book also, you can Google it, about evidence-based management. And then slowly it got popular across all other domains. So IT was also not an exception. We also started looking at the things by looking at the evidences. Balanced scorecard based measurement also came into the picture at that point of time. And then finally in 1999, the concept of OKRs, which was first invented at Intel based upon my study, but then it was getting applied by John Doerr at Google, and that's how it got started. This is the things which These are the things which are there in terms of a span of a time so far in front of us, and then we are measuring the things around us using all these frameworks which are still there around us. But then it is really important for us to understand that we should measure what really matters to us. So if it is a product development company or an engineering team or a product development team, they can write n number of lines of code, they can ship n number of features, functionalities into the production in a week, in a sprint, in a monthly release, in a quarterly release, in a year. But how much value, customer based value, end user value we are delivering, that is where the focus of teams and organizations always need to be. So as you can see into this cartoon, this person has built a nice door with all the good functionalities and features like smooth knob and everything. But then the end user, when this person asks the carpenter that whether I can make use of the staircase to open the to go down after opening the door, there is no staircase to go downstairs. So the focus was on output, and then the value was completely missing. There are teams which are output oriented teams. They are always up to output. So we have hit our target of 60 arrows in a minute. There the focus should not be actually how we have hit the actual business goal, how we have hit the bull's eye. There the focus always needs to be, and that is the core difference in between output and outcome. That is the core difference in between output oriented team and an outcome oriented team, where you are always looking at customer, end user, value based, outcome focused delivery. So understanding outputs versus outcomes, I would like to give you a few examples. You can create a new marketing plan, you can create something, but using that, whether your incoming leads, customer onboarding, number of customers, number of users which are making use of those features, your product, whether it has been increased from X to Y or not. That is where the focus always needs to be. You can run a customer end user awareness campaign for any of your product features, but after doing that, if we do that, whether the overall usage, utilization of that particular feature, the end user usage of that particular feature has been increased from 10% to 50%, 50% to 100% or not. There, the focus always needs to be when it comes to your agile product development teams. Your DevOps governance and then implementation of DevOps can help you to implement an automated CI/CD pipeline, but that is the output. using that CI/CD pipeline, whether your deployment time across the environments, dev, QA, staging, production, it has been reduced by 20%, 50%, 60% or not. There, the focus always needs to be when it comes to your agile product development teams. So teams always need to understand that they need to move from outputs to outcomes. And while doing all of that, they need to ask the question, why we need to do it? Because this why question will give you an answer about why it is required, whether it is going to make any change or not, whether it is going to make any value based delivery in a much higher, better, faster approach, safer approach or not. And then along with why, maybe you can also ask this question, why now? Because you can have n number of outcomes, but then which is the outcome which is the most important outcome from priority point of view? There always needs to be the focus of your agile product development teams. Okay, so let's start with OKRs. What is OKR? OKR is nothing but a simple goal setting framework. It is a simple tool to create the alignment and engagement around measurable goals. And when I say measurable goals, you should be able to see, evaluate, apply, explore, experiment, and inspect and adapt around those measurable goals. It is a combination of top down and bottom up approach. I'm going to cover this thing in the next slide. But I would like to bring your attention to this book. It is a wonderful book which was written by Major John Doerr. The name of the book is Measure What Matters. And then the book contains the practical implementation and then how Google got introduced to OKRs and then how they did things differently. A wonderful book to read. And then this same person, John Doerr, he has defined his own OKR. You can see the date in the article, Wired article, that is 11th of December 2021, few days back only. He has defined a simple objective. He wants to stop climate change. So the objective is nothing but let's stop climate change, which is going to impact our lives, right? And then the corresponding key results which we can think of is something like let's reduce the carbon emission from this limit to that limit. Let's have more number of electric vehicles. Currently, the presence of electric vehicles in terms of count in a particular state or a country is this much. Probably in a futuristic way, we would like to increase it to this much. Let's include or enhance or encourage more number of green initiatives, green energy initiatives. So using these key results, maybe it will be easy for us to have some measurable goals in front of us, and we can make use of those goals to get to see that how we are progressing. And then at one point of time we will get to know that okay, this particular key result has been achieved, all the key results have been achieved, and then that will make your objective achieved. Top down and bottom up approach. OKRs is always a combination of top down and bottom up approach. So your organization's strategic goals, all your vision, mission, strategy, roadmap for your portfolio program, and then everything gets defined from top to down analogy, and then things get communicated from top to down. And then you have your product development teams, engineering teams, service delivery teams who support from a bottom up approach where all those OKRs get selected by your teams, and then they have a common shared understanding in between all of them. So that dotted line represents that. And then teams support from a bottom up way of looking at the things which will help them to achieve the top down OKRs, which are getting communicated for them from a top down approach. When we talk about OKRs, people generally ask like, okay, we can do it, but then whether we have any success stories around it. So I came to know this particular article from Tech in Asia, 2018 article, where it explains about how Google CEO, current CEO Sundar Pichai used OKRs to build world's most popular browser. And what is the name of that browser? Chrome, right? So in 2006, when Sundar Pichai was not CEO, he was heading the Google Chrome web browser's product development team, and then they took it as a challenge. At that point of time, only Internet Explorer and Mozilla Firefox was having their presence in terms of majority of usage index. And then the CEO at that point of time, I don't remember the name, maybe Larry Page or Eric Schmidt, they asked this question to Sundar Pichai that how you would like to have a web browser which will act as a computing platform itself, and then how we can leverage the functionality of that particular web browser, which will make its impact over millions of people across the globe. So they together define a top level annual objective where they wanted to develop the next generation client platform for web applications, and that is nothing but the Google Chrome browser. And the main key result which they defined was like, we have an anticipation that let's see that how Chrome can reach 20 millions of people, 7-day active users. Like across a week we should have 20 million active users who will be making use of Chrome browser. So this whole OKR concept, they set it up and then they explore, applied, and then worked upon. They did the inspection, adaptation, and then in their way of working. And then when it comes to Google, it's all about faster, safer, better, not at all compromising on the quality, all those things, right? So this OKR setup made their people uncomfortably excited. They took it as a moonshot, and then this also had a healthy disregard for the impossible. So initially the product development team thought it like it is almost impossible. We already have the existing footprint of Internet Explorer and Mozilla Firefox, where it is widely getting used. And then even if we launch this kind of a web browser, they were having some kind of a doubt which was going in the back of their mind that whether it will be possible for them to achieve that key result to have the 20 million users. But in 2008, when they looked at the number of user count, at least on Windows set of machines or devices, it was around 100 millions. On the Mac side of it, they struggled a bit, but then they stretched themselves, and then it helped them to achieve what they would like to achieve in a period of 2 years. Okay, so again, coming to the main point, why OKRs? So generally you have your top level objectives, your vision, mission, roadmaps, and then you try to achieve those objectives by running your sprint based delivery and development and delivery using an incremental iterative fashion using Scrum, Kanban, any of the Agile frameworks. But then there is a gap, and OKRs help you to bridge in that gap. How we are going to see it in the next slides. It creates focus, measurement culture in the organization. It also helps to have the organizational direction and alignment in between all the teams, programs, portfolios. So you get to know that where you are heading towards, and then how you can achieve your long-term vision, mission, and roadmap. It also promotes engagement in between, let's suppose, engineering team and business team, so that they get to know that how the value is getting flowed, and then how you are doing the customer outcome based focused value delivery. Then when it comes to transparency, you create your OKRs, you put in into a system like Jira or Linkit or any other tool, and then it becomes available to any one of us, and then anyone can go in and get to see like which are your OKRs in a particular quarter, what was the progress done. So things get black and white, clear to all of us. It also encourages the accountability and responsibility, because the OKRs are always like aspirational, inspirational things which you would like to achieve over a period of a quarter, and then you get yourself aligned, you get committed to it. Sometimes your teams need to stretch to achieve those objectives, and that's why it encourages responsibility and accountability within your teams. So what is OKRs? It is divided into two main things: objective and a key result. Objective is nothing but an inspirational statement describing a desired future state, where you are currently and where you would like to go. It always needs to be qualitative, it needs to be inspirational and aspirational, so that people can feel that burning desire to take that moonshot. It helps you to answer this question, what we want to achieve in a period of a quarter, and that's why you should have 1 to 3 objectives per quarter. When it comes to key result, it is nothing but a measure that defines whether the progress has been made towards that objective or not. It needs to be quantitative so that you can measure your progress. Initially it might look like impossible, but then it can be difficult, but then once the teams can start to work upon those key results, they can achieve it the way I have tried to explain it while talking about the Google Chrome story. And then it helps you to understand how we will get to know that whether we have achieved what we want to achieve or not. And there should be at least 3 to 5 key results per objective in a quarter. Both should be outcome focused. Objective and key result, they both should be outcome focused. And once you have your objective and key results, you should define some initiatives maybe one or many initiatives attached with a key result, and then it helps you to drive that initiative, define some tactics which explains you about what exactly we need to do to achieve what we want to achieve. So just an example, let's suppose you have your organization's purpose, mission, then value and strategy and everything, which you would like to get converted into your portfolio level objectives. It further gets converted into program level objectives. And then programs can also have their initiatives. Each of the initiative can be worked upon by the teams underneath. Team can define an objective like create an awesome customer experience. So that is an objective for a team, which they will be working upon in a period of a quarter. They can define corresponding key results. So first key result can be improve net promoter score from 60 to 80. 60 is nothing but your current positioning, 80 is nothing but future based positioning. You have some lacking and leading indicators which will help you to get to see the progress which is happening over a period of a quarter. Second key result will be increase repurchase rate from 25% to 50%. And while doing the first key result and key result 2, you should maintain your customer acquisition cost under your budget. So this is what they call it as balancing the key results. Promoter score from 60 to 80, and then you can define your team level initiatives, like you should do a detailed root cause analysis of why there is low net promoter score, why it is 20, why it is 40, why it is 60, and what exactly you need to do to reach it up to 80, 100. How you can improve the overall user experience for a particular web portal or set of web portals which will help you to improve your net promoter score. How you can reduce the overall cycle time and lead time of the things which are being discussed and getting worked upon by the engineering team by the virtue of the discussions which are happening in between the engineering team and business. That will also improve you to improve your that will also help you to improve your net promoter score from 60 to 80, or current positioning to your future positioning. And once you have those initiatives, you can create your tactics which are like your epics, features, pbs, and user stories. Have the product backlog created, have the sprints planned, and then get it working upon all of that stuff using the scrum based agile way of working, sprints and sprint backlog, and your daily stand-ups and sprint review and retrospective, all of that. So this is how OKRs so complement organizational agility. You have your org level objectives, which are typically yearly objectives. Then they are getting translated into your team objectives, which are like X number of objectives per team. Then you go ahead and do your quarterly OKRs based planning, where you define some X number of objectives and corresponding key results per team under a program or a top level structure. And then all those OKRs are getting converted into the initiatives and corresponding tactics. You define your product backlog, sprint backlog, and get your sprints going on. The purpose of all of this is nothing but to have some alignment at top level and dynamism at team level. So this helps you in a longer run. Then OKR rollout models. There are 4 models using which you can do an OKR rollout in your organization. You can do it at organization level only. You can do it at organization and org unit or team level. You can do it for entire organization, all the levels, or you can do it in a pilot manner where you choose certain teams in organization or at an organizational unit level, and then you do it as a pilot experimentation way of doing it. And once you learn some lessons out of it, then you can take it forward and expand it to the multiple teams. So in one of my previous organization, we did it in the same way using the pilot approach. So it was a program level setup, and it was having 8 to 10 product development teams. So we selected 4 pilot teams, and then we did the OKRs initiation. We did the introduction to all of them, mostly the Scrum Masters, product owners, some of the developers, architects also. So the way I'm trying to give you an overview today in terms of OKRs, we did the same thing. We explained them the why, what, how, all the things around OKRs. And then we also had some OKRs creation training in place. And then comes the OKR creation workshop. That is nothing but the actual workshop where the teams are supposed to create the OKRs. So let's suppose you want to start implementing OKRs from 1st of Jan 2022. Then before the start of the quarter, first day, first month of year 2022, before that you need to have this workshop or multiple rounds of discussions happening through the workshop, where there happens an alignment between the product managers, product owners, scrum masters, and then the developers. And then that process we call it as tie off, where we create some objectives, we create the corresponding key results, we define the initiatives, always focusing upon the outcome part of value delivery, customer focused deliveries, and then we align all of that to the product backlog through the implementation of OKRs, and then we kick off the cycle. So one OKR cycle is for 1 quarter. 1 quarter can have almost 1 month has 2 sprints. Let's suppose 2 weeks of cycle for one sprint. So quarter has 3 months. So 6 sprints. And then we start to work upon those OKRs, which are getting converted into the product backlog items, initiatives, and then the user stories. And then it helps us to define our sprint goals also. At the end of every sprint, at the time of sprint review, typically we were looking at the things in terms of what we did well, what we can improve upon, the retrospective way of looking at the things, and then always we did the bi-weekly check-ins to ensure that we are progressing well or not. And finally, at the end of a quarter, we also did the final OKR reviews, the things which we committed at the start of a quarter, whether we achieved all of them, some of them, all those things, and then we expanded it from pilot to more teams. So this is just a sample mural board where I have just tried to represent a workshop scenario. So Scrum Master facilitates it, the entire Scrum team participates into it, the brainstorming happens, discussions happen, you ask the questions, why we would like to have this objective in place, why now we would like to work upon this particular objective, and then you put something under the exploring set of objectives, you shortlist few of them, take 1 to 3 objectives, and then you can also define 3 to 5 key results corresponding to those objectives. And the focus always needs to be on outcome while doing all of that, outcome based value delivery. And then we identified the problem statement while defining the OKR, single OKR. We turn it into the objective, we written down the corresponding key results, and then we created the initiatives and tactics to achieve those key results, which will help us to achieve those objectives. And then your child level objectives have been met, top level objectives will be also in a position to meet somewhere in the future. Always remember that your OKRs always need to be aligned to your top level objectives, because it is a combination of top down and bottom up approach. So a sample OKR, we had a program level objective where we wanted to explore on automated service management. So when we talk about service management, it is all about IT service management. Okay, and then we had an ITSM portal where internal users as well as customer specific users are making use of that ITSM portal to raise some tickets, incident, problem, change management tickets, to get those things resolved, the issues which are being faced by them. And then we defined the program level initiative to reduce the manual effort involved in the service management through AI based automation. So all those users, the end users, were making use of the ITSM portal to report those tickets. And then across all the time zones or geographies, basically, there were some associates who were literally looking at the incoming queues, and then based upon the skill sets, availability, capability, time zone based availability of associates, they were just routing those tickets to the individual associates, so that they, based upon their skill sets and everything, they can resolve those tickets, right? And here we wanted to reduce that manual effort. Okay, 0.5 full-time employee effort. So that was a program level objective, to have some automated service management. How we would like to do it? Using some AI based automation, using some algorithms. And then we defined our team level objective to roll out a new service offering in the existing ITSM portal. The corresponding 3 key results were like deliver a new service offering to reduce the overall dispatch time by 80%. We can save some FT effort by virtue of the second key result. And then implement an auto search functionality which will automatically identify and assign the owners using the AI based automation with the 80% success rate. And then we define the corresponding initiatives, tactics, we worked upon all of that. Then the regular bi-weekly check-in happened, and then at least we were in a position to achieve the first 2 key result. And then that helped us to boost up our confidence, saying that yeah, we can focus, be committed, stretch, and then achieve the key results. There were challenges in this implementation. There was lack of leadership support buy-in, especially when the OKRs implementation is on a failure mode. You are not in a position to achieve your key results. There might be some psychological safety related concerns. So that's where the support, buy-in, and the complete help needs to be there from the leadership point of view. They need to understand that we need to try something new in terms of an innovation experimentation point of view. And then even if we are failing somewhere, that failure should be accepted in terms of the lessons learned, and it should be a fail safe, fail fast approach. Lack of understanding of big picture, sometimes team don't consider the overall impact of the changes which they would like to do while working on any of the OKRs. So systems thinking view, systems thinking based view always needs to be there. Lack of understanding of outputs versus outcomes. So that is where I started today's presentation, to give you an understanding of outputs and outcomes, where people, teams struggle a lot, and it's all about agility and agile mindset. Lack of regular OKRs check-ins. So sometimes I have seen that teams have created their OKRs, but they are not reflecting back, and then at the time of sprint review they are not opening their OKRs, they are not looking into the key results, where how much progress has been done till this point of time. They are simply keeping their OKRs open, and then at the end of the quarter, then suddenly they wake up, and then they go back and see like how we can try to do some manipulations. So that is not going to help you anyway. Sometimes there might be some team level dependencies. So you have a key result defined, and then to achieve that key result, there are some initiatives and tactics which are need to be worked upon across multiple teams. So you need to identify those dependencies, have a proper alignment across multiple teams, that dotted line structure which I had showed you initially. People focus too much upon processes and tools, so don't make things complicated. Have some simple OKRs, corresponding key results, corresponding initiatives, tactics, and get going along with all of that. Lack of understanding of objectives as stretch goals. Your objectives and key results always need to act as moonshots, inspirational and aspirational things, where teams get committed, focused. They need to stretch, they need to be a best version of themselves to deliver the things, always focused upon the outcome part of it and not the output part of it. This is the problem which we discussed earlier. Team level objectives not aligned with the top level objectives, and then you miss the beauty of OKRs. You won't be in a position to achieve your top level objectives. Having too less or too many OKRs, that is also one more challenge, where you need to understand what is the capability, what are the skill sets, what is the availability of your team members. You should ask this question at the time of your workshops to your team members, saying that we are taking these three objectives, whether do you think that we will be in a position to achieve all of them. That helps you to have a right balance in the number of objectives and key results which are getting defined. Coming to the EBM framework, EBM was there since 1990s, but Scrum.org converted that particular framework into this kind of a representation, which you will be able to see under EBM guide at Scrum.org, where they want the agile product development teams to focus upon two core things: market value and organizational capability. So when you look at the things in terms of measuring the things in terms of the efficiency, performance, productivity, all those aspects which I mentioned earlier, basically the market value helps you to have an outward outlook towards your customers and end users. What is the unrealized value which is there in your product or service? What is the current value which is getting delivered through your product or service at team level? So you need to find out some metrics which will help you to capture these two key value areas, using which you can improve or enhance your market value. On the other side, the other area talks about organizational capability, which is more of inward facing thing, which helps you to look at the things which are happening internally within your teams, programs, portfolios, even at organization. How you can improve the ability to innovate, how you can improve the overall innovation experimentation mindset, how you can improve the mindset of failing fast, failing safe, learn, unlearn, relearn, as well as time to market. How long does it take to deliver a new value? So there are literally these many areas which they have defined under the Scrum EBM guide at scrum.org website, where each value comes up with certain areas where you can focus upon. So let's take an example of time to market, how you can improve the build and integration frequency, how you will ensure that you are releasing more in production every month, every sprint, literally to every day. Amazon, Microsoft, these companies are always looking at their release frequency. So they have multiple releases happening within a day by the power of DevOps and automation, right? What is the market share of your product? What is the customer or end user satisfaction gap? What is the customer usage index of a particular feature of your product? You can take any of these areas corresponding to the four key value areas, and you can define your customized metrics, which will help you to understand where you are right now and where you would like to be in your future state progression point of view. So if you remember this slide, we had a program level objective, program level initiative, then we had a team level objective, corresponding key results. Then we defined the initiatives for one of the key results. So you can see here, deliver a new service offering reduced overall dispatch time by 80%. We defined three initiatives around it: SLA improvement through AI automated dispatch. So we want to improve on the service level agreement, time, effort, cost of all of it, reduction in cycle time and lead time, and improved left shift left mechanism. How we can shift left the things so that one level before the things in place can take care of the things. And then we literally attached one or multiple key measures, EBM measures, to each of the initiatives which are getting defined under a key result. So the first EBM measure was like SLA trend analysis and time of rework saved. So we analyze the trend, how much time it takes to manually dispatch an incident which was getting reported in this particular time zone, and how much time it takes for a manual dispatcher who is sitting there and then monitoring the queue and then identifying the resource and then rerouting that particular incident to the associate who can resolve it, right? So we did that trend analysis which helped us to understand, okay, this is the time which is required in a typical manner. We monitored the complete trend, and then we defined some metrics, the tactics to improve that trend analysis. And it also helped us to improve on the time of rework which we have saved it. In terms of improving the cycle time and lead time, we also did a trend analysis, and then we defined some features and work log items to work upon, using which we can reduce the overall cycle time and lead time. uh, Cycle time is nothing but the time at which the request comes and then the time it gets fulfilled. Lead time is nothing but the time at which someone gets started to look at it, and then the time at which it gets completed. The difference between those two times is nothing but cycle time and lead time, how we can reduce it. Using the third EBM measure, we also looked at the cost and effort of rework which is getting saved. When I say rework, sometimes it happens that uh, an incident or a problem gets assigned to a particular associate who is not capable of resolving it. But then using the AI based automation, you have all those skill metrics and everything defined, and then there is more accuracy based assignment which is happening, and that is going to help us to improve upon the end user satisfaction index. So we had our program level objective which got converted into program level initiative. Then we defined the team level objective, corresponding key results. For every key result, we had their own initiatives. For those initiatives, we had the EBM measures which helped us to measure all those things. So this is how OKRs and EBM complement each other. You have your long-term goal, which is the strategic goal, product goal. Okay. So for us, it was like, let's have 1 FTE reduction in terms of that automated dispatching of those tickets from someone who is raising it till the point it is getting resolved and getting assigned to some associate who is going to resolve it. That is our ultimate strategic goal. Then we have the tactics defined at the sprint level, and then we have a number of things to work upon, that AI based algorithms and everything, to have that model in place which will take care of the automated dispatch of those tickets. Here comes OKRs and EBM, which helps us to bridge the gap in between the strategic goal and your sprint goal. So you define your intermediate goal for a period of a quarter. You have your objectives, key results defined. You have your initiatives defined. You have your EBM measures, which are getting tied up with your key results, which will help you to identify your current positioning, future positioning, where you would like to go. And then based upon those positionings, you can position yourself over a period of a quarter, get that reflection under your sprints, and that will help you to have more focused, more committed, more outcome value focused sprints running in your teams. So the key takeaways, we always measure what really matters. We should understand outcomes always have higher importance than outputs. Outputs will be there unless and until you have the outputs. You won't be able to justify the outcomes, but the focus to drive those outcomes always needs to be there, which needs to have a reflection into the outputs. OKRs is a simple goal setting framework. Please don't make things complicated. Ignore the process part of it. Get on to the working software, individuals and interactions, agile values. Understand why OKRs and why EBM first before implementing them. Purpose of OKRs is alignment at top level and dynamism at team level. OKRs always need to be aligned with your top level objectives. Continuous inspection and adaptation is the key of an OKR cycle, which is typically of 1 quarter. The empiricism concept from Scrum framework, it has to be there, the continuous inspection and adaptation. OKRs and EBM, they complement each other, how we have seen it into the last slide. And while doing all of this, you need to think big, have some dream, so that you can achieve that moonshot the way Google Chrome team did it. You need to start somewhere. Sometimes I keep on hearing from the Scrum Master saying that our team is not matured. We cannot enforce such kind of additional framework while implementing Scrum. It is not an additional framework. We are already doing all those things, but the thing is that we need to just structure things around so that we can be more committed, be more focused, have the right engagement, have the right alignment, and all those things. So start somewhere, start small, learn and fail fast as well as safe. That will help you to address the need of continuous learning and continuous improvement using an empiricism way of looking at the things. Yeah, so that was something which I would like to cover through my today's knowledge sharing session, and thank you all. Any questions?
Yeah, thank you, Rituraj, for the insightful session, I must say. We got a couple of questions.
Mhm.
One question is asking, does EBM defines OKR from customer's point of view?
Uh, yeah, really, it really helps you to define your OKRs from end users or customers' point of view, because you are always focusing upon those 4 key value areas, right? Where there is always a scope for improvement. So sometimes I have seen that few teams, they take one particular key value area from EBM framework where they think that they are lacking and there is a scope for improvement. Sometimes they can have multiple key value areas to be picked up by them, and then they take one metric out of each key value area, which helps them to address the need of scope for improvement. And then let's do not limit ourselves to only those 4 key value areas. There might be some other key value area where there is a scope for improvement. So if you take a key value area, define some customized metric where there is a scope for improvement, which will help you to define some EBM metric, which you can tie it up to your initiatives, key results, and then that will help you to identify your current positioning and where you would like to go next.
Okay, hope that answers the question there. Uh, we got another question which asks any possibility of automated tracking of OKRs to know the status online always.
Okay, so the way we did it is like once we create those OKRs, we put them under a tool, maybe Jira or Linkit, and then we attach all the work log items to the key results so that we get to see the real progress, right? If let's suppose there are 10 user stories which we would like to address in a period of a quarter, which will fulfill one of the key result, then we can attach all of them to a key result. So we create the objectives and key results into a tool. We attach those work log items or backlog items to those key results, and once those backlog items are done, you achieve your key result. Once the key results are achieved, you achieve your objective. But the focus always needs to be on the individuals and interactions, not on the processes and tools. You can make use of a simple Excel sheet also.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And another question is, in your experience, how would you describe the openness of senior management, middle level, and juniors in organization with respect to it?
Sorry, could you please repeat that?
Yeah, yeah. The question is, in your experience, how would you describe the openness about this OKRs? Of course, openness of senior management, medium
Okay.
management, and the juniors in your
Okay.
organization. What's your
Okay.
experience around people from all
Okay.
the
So when we
levels?
talk about, yeah, when we talk about openness, it's all about again the agile mindset, right? People always have a tendency to not to challenge the status quo and then themselves stick with the things which are going on since ages, right? So whenever we introduced such kind of concepts through our agile community of practice or through our scrum master center of excellence or community of practice, we could see that there is a friction, and then initially there is always a hesitation saying that why we would like to implement this, and then this is more of a process driven thing, and then what is going to be the ultimate value which we are going to add it. So it is really required for us to give specific amount of breathing space as well as significant amount of time to be invested into such things where we can educate all of them, right? Be it top level management, be it your scrum masters, product owners, be it your developers. I think we need to have proper conversations using proper pointers, and then if we can share those success stories the way I did it today, right? Things have been already done when it comes to OKRs with the organizations such as Google and many more. So if they can do it, why can't we do it? And then if you would like to do it, irrespective of whatever maturity, irrespective of whatever skill sets, irrespective of whatever the knowledge which we all have, let's do it in an experimentation way of doing it. No one is going to hang up us, right? No one is going to kill us if we fail. But then I think understanding the why, and then giving them a rationale behind it, why it is required if we do it in this way, and then what is the ultimate value driven change which we are going to introduce if we are going to do the things in this way. I think if the message is clear, then it all depends upon their engagement. And then yeah, sometimes there is a friction, but then I think it totally depends upon how that message is getting circulated, and then how it is getting derived also, right? So that thought process and then actual implementation execution, that makes a change. But at the end of the day, it's all about growth mindset versus fixed mindset. The organizations have the people who are having growth mindset, they will accept these changes and then they will move forward. Those who don't, they will lose the benefit of all of this for sure.
All right, thank you for that. I think we just got another 1 minute, and there's a question waiting for you. How are
Mhm.
OKRs of agile coaches tied to business outcomes?
Okay, so the way I said it, you can have your personal OKRs, right? Similarly, you can have the OKRs for individuals also. So for agile coaches, how the agile coaches are doing in terms of coaching, teaching, mentoring, technical agility, business agility, process side of improvement, all those things, right? So you can define a number of OKRs in a quarterly basis for agile coach, and then you need to tie it to the business outcome, right? So if you would like to do a scaling approach in your organization at program level or portfolio level, you can define some OKRs where you can focus upon the outcomes. Okay, if we have your agile coaches to implement any scaling framework in a particular program or portfolio structure, define an objective, create the corresponding key results such as h- whether we have improved upon the business agility or not, whether we have improved upon the technical agility or not. You can also do some maturity level assessment which will help you to understand where you are standing in terms of a number of things, right? All the aspects which will help you to bring up the or to improve on the organizational agility point of view or a program level agility point of view. So based upon the various initiatives which are supposed to be driven by the agile coaches, if we can define some corresponding objectives and key results which are aligned with the business outcomes, that is significantly going to help you and your organizations to uh, especially in case of agile coaches, to challenge their growth mindset and try out new things innovatively, experimentively, right? So that is how it helps. Not only, and OKRs don't limit it to the organizations, anyone can make use of OKRs anywhere.
Yeah. So thank you, Rituraj, for answering all the questions. Thank you, audience, for your wonderful questions there.
Mhm.
Great session, in fact. So I think we in the Nupur, I think should we go for a break now? I think the
Thank you, Ajit.
yeah.
Uh,
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Rituraj, for
Thank
sharing
you.
your experiences on OKRs and EBMs. I hope all the participants had a very good insight about the subject. I also thanks Ajit for facilitating wonderfully the question and answers and the whole session.